Tribe YouTube fam, welcome back. In this video, we're going to have some major fun because in this video, we're going to really talk about, we're going to go to the meat and potatoes, how to do this, is how to really manifest when you have high functioning autism, when you're autistic, even if you're on the spectrum. And what I mean by that is maybe you haven't been diagnosed, but you have high functioning autism habits. Okay, or it's how you think, you're on the spectrum, or you're neurodivergent. Okay, it doesn't really matter. And even if you're an empath, if you struggle being an empath here, this is going to work for you as well. Because remember, as an empath, one of the superpowers that you have is you feel other people's energy. And it doesn't stop there. You actually absorb other people's energy. And it goes further than that. When you absorb somebody else's energy, you actually act and behave like you're really going through it, especially if they're going through some type of pain or negative in their life. You actually absorb it like it's really happening to you. And this 100% can really mess up how you're manifesting and mess up your manifesting techniques, and can really be huge blocks in what you want to try to achieve in your life, or you really want to live life on your terms. And when you have high functioning autism also, it's not a weakness, it's a superpower, okay? But the superpowers you have to learn to control the superpower. And if you're not in control of the superpower, it messes up how you manifest. Because when you have high functioning autism, your brain is like a supercomputer, okay? It's basically working overtime. And if you focus on the wrong thing, this can really mess up how you're manifesting, really mess up to live life on your terms. And it's really just because you're processing information differently. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I know this was kind of a long-winded introduction, but now what we're going to do is we're going to go into the meat and potatoes of how to actually manifest when you're on the spectrum, if you have high functioning autism and so on, just like I stated. And we're going to jump into this, and I'm going to read some stuff to you because I outlined it and it's so perfect. And I might put my 2 cents, but that's what we're going to do. So let's jump into that right now. Okay, let's jump into this. Okay, with your exact high functioning autism wiring, you have to remember, you don't master manifestation the same way the average person does. And what I mean by this is, in fact, listen to this. This is so powerful. Most mainstream law of attraction teachings don't work for you. Okay, they don't work for you if you have high functioning autism, you're on a spectrum, you're neurodivergent. The reason why you're struggling is because you're going at it the wrong way. So this is what we're going to jump into. Number one is how to master manifesting if you have high functioning autism. And number one is you don't feel it real, you structure it real. Okay, I say this one more time. You don't feel it real. Just like Never Goddard, when you say feeling the wish fulfilled, you gotta feel it. Okay, like if you go in your emotion, you gotta feel it. If you go inside your imagination, you gotta feel it real. Okay, now if you're on a spectrum, you have high functioning autism, that's a disconnect to you. You don't feel things, okay? You structure it real. So let's go into this. What do I mean by this? The key is not emotional flooding, it's mental anchoring. Okay, you manifest best when your thoughts, standards, and environment are structured to match the result. Let me say this one more time, because this is the key if you have high functioning autism and you're trying to manifest, you're trying to live life on your terms. Let me repeat this one more time. You see, you manifest best when your thoughts, standards you have in your life, and your environment are structured to match the result. So instead of, I just visualize and wait, like most people teach, visualize and be patient and wait and let go, okay, that doesn't work for you. Okay, you say, your version is, this version of me lives like this, and I will now design my day to match it. So you're way more technical. Okay, now this, what I just said, is really Neville Goddard's live in the end. You're really extreme to this. Like, you have to live in the end. You have to act and behave and have standards like that most successful version of you. Okay, you really have to be anal with this to get this to work. That's what it's meaning. So I'll repeat it one more time for you. Okay, to get this to work for you, this version of me lives like this, and I will now design my day to match it. You see, use logic to your advantage, because when you have high functioning autism, you're very, very logical. You kind of have you kind of have like there's a right and a wrong, but there's no gray area. You're very logical when you think. You think in patterns, okay? And also you can think on loop, but we'll get to that in a second. Okay? So use logic to your advantage. This is what I mean. Okay, when you have high functioning autism or you're on a spectrum, it's a superpower. Okay, use it to your advantage. Learn how to control this superpower, because once you learn how to control this superpower, holy crap, like you will manifest like on steroids. You will manifest like a superhero once you figure this stuff out. Once you figure out how to get it to work for you, holy crap, it will work for you. Okay, so use your logic to your advantage. Manifesting is not blind faith. It's identity calibration. Okay, what I mean by that, identity calibration, it's identity calibration for you. What that means is you have to become like that most successful version of you. You have to act that way. For you, that's logical. Okay, it's like, well, if I want to be rich and be a millionaire, for you, it's very logical. It makes sense to you. Like, well, it makes sense that I need to behave like a millionaire would behave. I need to dress like a millionaire. I need to put myself in an environment where a millionaire would be. I got to start making decisions like a millionaire. I got to start carrying myself like a millionaire. For you, it's very logical. You get it. Okay, you get it and you behave that way. Okay, that's what I mean by identity calibration. Okay, listen, just what I just said. You literally become the result in your environment, language, and micro decisions. So that's your superpower. You can do this way better than most people. Okay, you have to understand this. Number 2 is identity equals frame lock. Now we're going to go a little bit deeper on identity here. We've been talking about identity, but let's take it a little bit deeper. You see, you don't shift with emotions. Okay, emotions don't shift you. I mean, lots of times with people with high functioning autism, it's not that they're emotionless. Okay, but they don't really thrive on emotions. Okay, and usually when you get into manifesting, a law of attraction and manifesting techniques, all these techniques are based on emotion, and emotion don't work for you. So that's why these standard manifesting techniques don't work. Okay, if you're on the spectrum in any way. Okay, so let's dive into this. You see, you don't shift with emotions. You shift by locking into a new frame and refusing to negotiate with it. What do I mean by that? You shift from locking into a new frame and refusing to negotiate with it. So what I mean, this is identity. Basically, you shift into that most successful version of you, and you are non-negotiable. People can't talk you out of it. Okay, and this is really kind of a superpower that if you have high functioning autism, is a superpower you have. And now, granted, this is a double-edged sword. It can be your superpower and it could be your downfall. Is usually once you put your mind to something, all your energy goes into it. People can't talk you out of it. Okay, this is why it's a double-edged sword, because if you put your energy towards a wrong thing, what you're not supposed to be doing, well, people have trouble talking you out of it. You keep on doing it no matter if it's not good for you. Okay, that's what I mean by double-edged sword. So let's go through this. I'll read it to you one more time. You don't shift with emotions. You shift by locking into a new frame and refusing to negotiate it. This is who I am now, period. That's how you look at it. This is who I am now, period. Okay. I want to be rich. I want to be a multimillionaire. I want to be a successful entrepreneur. That's who I am now, period. And nobody can talk you out of it. And on top of that, you'll start acting like it. Okay. You start living in the end on steroids, just like never got or taught. Okay. Now listen, from there, all behavior must match. For you, all behavior must match. If it doesn't match, it really throws you off. Okay, so from there, all behavior must match. If it doesn't, you eliminate it, optimize it, and rewire it. You see, your manifestation lever is identity clarity plus daily standards. Okay. Now, there's also a downfall to this, is because usually when you're on a spectrum, if you have high functioning autism, okay, now this is something, I go through as well, and my nephew goes through as well. My nephew has been diagnosed since he's been in middle school. And one of the things, like when we talk about All your behavior must match, okay? And if it doesn't match, you have to be able to eliminate it, optimize from it, and rewire it and move on with your day. The biggest thing we have trouble with is if something throws off our day, if something throws off our routine, lots of times we'll just scrap the whole day. So lots of times with my nephew, when he was in high school and played football, if he went to football practice and the coach like rearranged the day or rearranged practice, or it was kind of way different than what you used to, like my nephew would not go to practice. It would throw off his whole day. He wouldn't work out. Okay. Because he was so used to, no, this is how it goes. Very, very structured. So that's kind of how your mind thinks. You're very, very structured. And when something throws it off, it really throws a wrench into your day. And lots of times you can just say, okay, I'm not going to do anything today. I'll start over tomorrow. You get me on that. So that's really a weakness to it. But once you learn how to control it, this is where manifesting really takes off. Number 3, environment equals hidden manifestation engine. Now, really, for if you have high functioning autism or you're on a spectrum, your environment is really a double-edged sword. Either your environment works for you or it doesn't. Either it makes you feel more successful or it spirals downhill for you. Okay. Usually when you have high functioning or on a spectrum, your environment has to be a safe zone for you. So you have to be very, very strict with your environment. This is something I'm just learning about myself as well. The more strict I am with my environment, the way better I manifest. Okay. The more frame, standards, and boundaries I have around my environment and what I'm going to put up with and not put up with also affects how I'm going to live life on my terms, and how also affects how I'm going to manifest and do manifesting techniques. Okay. So let's get into this. What do I mean by environment? Okay. And you might understand this because if you really have high functioning, or you might have an aha moment like, oh yeah, this is so true. So let's go into this here. Because you have sensory-based high-functioning autism, what that means is like sensory-based is you're very sensitive. You're very sensitive to your environment, way more sensitive than other people. I mean, things kind of bother you way more than what it would bother a normal person. Okay, so that's what I mean by sensory-based high-functioning autism. Your external world is your nervous system regulator. That means visual clutter equals internal static. Bad lighting equals emotional suppression. Okay, this stood out to me when I read this. Okay, bad lighting, like I had an aha moment with bad lighting, because I'm a type where it's like, I'm in Ing's house right now. They like to keep they're Thai. They like to keep the lights off. So you get to a point where you just walk around in the dark, and and it bothers me. I'm like, just turn on the light. I'm paying for the electric. Just turn the light on. Well, I don't want to work. I don't want to just sit in the dark. You know what I mean? I don't want to work in the dark room. Okay. Because like light for me is sensory. Okay. Light for me, when it's light and bright, it gives me energy. Okay. When I'm in the dark, I feel depressed. That's just how I'm wired. Okay. Disorganization equals energetic confusion. When things are disorganized, if your room's disorganized, and it doesn't mean you're a clean freak, it just means that everything's where you want it to be. You get me on that. Okay. And sometimes this can really play a role when you live with somebody else, when you're in a relationship. I mean, sometimes there's a clash can happen, because if you always have stuff sitting exactly where you want it and someone moves it, that throws you off. Okay. And over time, sometimes you can have a meltdown over it. Okay. Noise is another one. Noise equals loss of intuitive access. Now, noise is one of those things that kind of, if you're on a spectrum at all, you're usually very, very sensitive with noise. Noise will throw it off for you. Even like here, when I'm up in the village here, when you live in a Thai village, which I don't live here, we've been here 6 months, but it's very, very loud, very, very noisy. I mean, Thai with noise can be very, very inconsiderate. I mean, they can blast music all night long. Sometimes it starts at 5:30 in the morning. You know what I mean? So noise can really throw you off. Like even when I'm doing videos, If it's noisy, even if I can take it out of the video, you can't hear it, but it's throwing me off. It's throwing off how I'm thinking. Sometimes I'll have brain farts because I'm focusing on the noise rather than focusing on what I'm saying, or what I'm talking about. Okay, so it's controlling the noise. Okay, all this goes inside your environment. But listen to this. When your environment is precision aligned, your manifesting power explodes. Okay, now big thing with me with environment, before we go into this, is that you have to have really strong standards and non-negotiable standards around your environment. Okay, one of the downfalls with high functioning autism, or you're on the spectrum, is that you tend to adapt, you tend to ignore your standards. Okay, you see it. People's not fooling you. You see it clear, but you tend to ignore it. Okay, the more you ignore things, the longer you stay in it, and the longer you stay in it, the longer you start becoming unaligned with your life and what you want, and then that really leads into misalignment. That leads into you being unhappy. That leads into you having meltdowns, and you don't know why you're having meltdowns because you're not holding to your standards. Okay, you're ignoring it. You're adapting to it too much. You have to really have non-negotiable standards that you have to abide by, because you know it's going to trigger you if you don't. This is what I'm saying. This is a superpower, but you got to learn how to control it. Okay. So let's continue. When your environment is precision aligned, your manifesting power explodes. This is why you feel best when, listen, this is why you feel best when your space is clear, your standards are high, and you push your standards. Okay. If someone crosses your standards, you confront it right then and there. And if they don't stop, you're going to remove them from your life. If it's another person, if it's you live in a condo, you're going to move out of that condo because they're not abiding by your standards. Bottom line. Okay, listen, when your space is clear, your standards are high, your systems are optimized, your frame is enforced. Your manifestation field must be clean, structured, and strong. This is what I mean. Your environment plays a huge role. I've done, and sometimes I get a lot of, positive comments from this video I'm going to share with you. And I get a lot of hate comments from this video as well. When I used to live in Wahin, I did several videos on La Casita. And now with La Casita, I did a video on like a condo tour, and I really did an in-depth condo tour, shared a lot of information. By the end of the video, I did a pros and cons. Okay. Then I did a video on why I left La Casita, because it violated my standards. But a lot of people get butthurt over it. You get me on that? But this is like when you have high functioning autism, what happens is if things keep on, if your environment isn't aligned with your standards, you have to get out of that environment. So if you live somewhere, okay, like in a condo, like in my experience, if it keeps on violating your standards, what happens is when you have high functioning autism, if you don't like something, you cling to it. Okay, if something violates your standards, you cling to it until you do something about it. And sometimes we cling to stuff, and this is why we can come off negative. This is why our mind thinks on loop, or our mind thinks on a negative loop, because when things are happening what we don't like, we tend to cling to things until we actually do something about it. So finally, that's what I did with La Casita. I lived there a year and a half. I put up with it a long time. Okay, a year and a half, until I finally had enough, and I broke my lease legally, did everything the right way, and got out because it was violating my standards. It was violating, you need to control your environment. And the biggest thing here, I know I'm rattling going on, but the biggest thing here is you have to pay attention to the red flags from the beginning. When you see the red flags, okay, the issue is when we see the red flags, 100%, we see it more than other people, but we adapt to it. We think it's not going to be that bad. Okay. If it's a relationship, we think we can fix them. Okay. So we see the red flags, but we tend to stay in it way longer than a normal person too. You get me on that? So it's really having standards and boundaries. And when you see the red flags, a violation of your standard and boundaries, a violation of your non-negotiables, well, you get out right away. Okay. And that includes your environment. Number 4, you don't repeat to convince, you repeat to program. And we're talking about manifesting techniques here that like affirmations. Okay. You're not stating an affirmation to try to convince yourself. Okay. You're stating an affirmation because you look at the logical side. You're trying to reprogram yourself. You're using an affirmation to reprogram yourself into that most successful version of you. Okay, that's how you look at it. That's how your mind looks at it. Your mind looks at it as no BS. Okay, this is why I'm doing it. Okay. So affirmations and repetition aren't emotional rituals for you. Okay, see, this is why most people use affirmations. Is it makes them feel good. Okay, that's what I mean by affirmation and repetition are emotional. Okay, because for a normal person, they use it for emotion. They use it makes them feel good. For you, how your brain works, it doesn't make you feel good because you don't operate on emotion. That your brain don't operate on emotion if you have high functioning autism. Okay, listen, affirmations and repetition aren't emotional rituals for you. They're literal neuroprogramming loops. Think about it this way. I'm not saying this to feel good. I'm saying this to overwrite code. So you get it. So when you have high functioning autism, you get it. You cut out the bullshit in the middle. You basically say, well, when I'm saying this affirmation, I'm saying this to reprogram myself. I'm saying this affirmation because this is how the most successful version of me would think. That's why you're saying it. That's how your mind processes information. Okay. If I want to be a multimillionaire and I have an affirmation when I go grocery shopping and I say, well, I can buy anything I want in here. Every time I spend money, it comes back to me double. But to me, it makes sense because that's how the most successful version of me would think. So I'm reprogramming myself. I'm not saying it to make me feel good. Okay. Okay. I cut through the BS. I'm saying it to reprogram myself because I'm saying it because it matches the identity that I want to be. Because you have to understand, because you're a high functioning autism type, repetition is powerful, but it must be intentional, structured, and identity bound, just like the example I gave you. Number 5, you need non-negotiable standards, not endless flexibility. Now, this is where I've been kind of hitting kind of the hammer on having standards or boundaries and having non-negotiables and not being flexible with it. Okay. Now the big habit that we have as high functioning autism, or you're on the spectrum, or you're neurodivergent, you tend to be very, very good at flexibility. You can go with the flow. You can adapt. Okay. But when you go with the flow and you adapt, that's usually your downfall, because usually what's happening is you're ignoring your standards and boundaries you have set for yourself. You're ignoring your non-negotiables you set for yourself. You see it. It's not that people's tricking you. You see it. Like I said, you see it more than the average person, but you're choosing to ignore it and not uphold your standard of boundaries. So that's what I mean by not endless flexibility. You got to stop being flexible. You got to hold to you got to take control. You got to take the control of the steering wheel. Okay. And if you have high functioning, you got to take control way more than other people. Okay. This is how you control the superpower. So what do I mean? You need non-negotiable standards. You see, most people treat manifesting like this. If I feel good, it'll come. See, that's how manifesting techniques are mainly written. Okay, if I feel good, it will come. If I feel really emotional and happy about it, it will come. If I'm patient, it will come. Okay, that's most people, but for you, it doesn't work that way. This is why you have trouble with most manifesting techniques. Listen, you operate differently. When I act from the version of me who already has it, I collapse time. That's the superpower you flippin' have right there. I'll repeat it one more time. Listen, you operate differently. When I act from the version of me who already has it, I collapse time. That's your superpower, because you cut through the bullshit, my friend. This is how you cut through the bullshit. If you know you want to be a successful entrepreneur, what you end up doing, you're doing massive research How does a successful entrepreneur act? What do they dress? What do they wear? Okay, what decisions do they make? You become super anal about it and you actually apply it to your life. You actually start being that person right now today. That's your superpower that you have over anybody else. Okay, this is why I said it in the beginning. If you're not familiar with Neville Goddard, Neville Goddard calls this living the end. You act as if, baby. Okay, you are superhuman when it comes to this stuff right here. So you don't do it to make yourself feel good and have little goosebumps on you. You act from a version of you who already has it, period. So instead of emotional chasing, you're standard looking. Okay, emotional things don't faze you very much. Okay, you're not looking at things that emotional chasing. You're not looking at things that make you feel good. Okay, you're not looking for techniques that make you feel happy. Okay, you're standard looking. And this is what I mean by this. What would the $15 million version of me tolerate? This is the most successful version of me being a millionaire. See, this is how you think, is you think in those terms. How would the most successful version of me be? What would I be doing? What would I tolerate? What would that $15 million person tolerate? See, these are the types of questions that you ask yourself. What would the $15 million version of me tolerate? What would he walk away from instantly? What would he not put up with? And he would just boom. Okay, walk away from that environment, walk away from that person. What would he do? Okay. What would he build, say, and enforce today? Okay, how would he carry himself? What decisions would they make? How would he dress? What environment would he be in? What place would he go work out? See, this is your superpower. This is what changes you. Okay, this is exactly how you think. See, listen, you manifest by living it fully now. See, that's your superpower. You manifest by you're living it and acting like it now today. See, that's your superpower. You're not doing this, feely, good manifesting techniques. It makes me feel happy. No, you're actually doing your homework and you're becoming the person you want to become, period. Number 6, fast decision equals fast manifestation. Now, this is another double-edged sword if you have high-functioning autism. And this is what I mean, is lots of times we can make fast decisions just because we're really stubborn. You know what I mean? People can't talk. Once we put a mind to something, nobody can talk you out of it. Once you want to do something, you make a decision, nobody can talk you out of it. Now, there's a good and bad to that. Okay, I don't need to go through the example, but you know what I mean. Okay, but sometimes we can be very, very indecisive. We can kind of go the extreme the other way as well and really overanalyze, not make decisions, not walk away, not uphold our standards and non-negotiables and stuff like that. But what we have to understand in number 6 is fast decisions equals faster manifesting. Bottom line. Okay, listen to this. You tend to over-architect sometimes. So what I mean by that is you tend to over-analyze sometimes. You tend to not make decisions sometimes. Okay, and once you get in this over-analyzing loop, sometimes you can stay in this loop for a long time. Okay, until you finally make a decision or that decision is made for you. Okay. So let's go through this. You tend to over-architect sometimes, but when you drop into clean, fast, intuitive decisions, things move instantly for you. This means there's no second guessing, no waiting for signs, no negotiating with the old you. Instead, this is what I chose. I am now the man who lives this. Watch it form. See, that's a superpower you have. Once you really lock into something you really want to do, nobody can talk you out of it. Okay, you uphold your standards and boundaries, you uphold your non-negotiables, and you literally live as that most successful version of you. You literally do what you're going to say, what you're going to do. You literally become what you say you're going to become. Okay, but because for you, this is what I chose. I am now the man who lives this, and watch it form, baby. That's how this stuff works. But other than that, my friends, YouTube fam and tribe, that's it. That's all I want to share with you. Comment below because I'd love to hear your opinions about this. But also, if you made it this far, share this video with somebody that you feel that has high functioning autism, they're on the spectrum, they're neurodivergent, even if they're an empath, just because that's why I'm kind of making these videos, because Because lots of times when you have autism at any scale, okay, or if you feel like you're on the spectrum, lots of times we look at it like it's a weakness. But it's not a weakness. We have a superpower, but we just have to learn how to control this superpower to live life on our terms. We just have to learn how to control this superpower to make manifesting work in our favor. And our superpowers we have, listen to this. I'll share this with you really fast. How your subconscious mind works, exactly how it works. Your subconscious mind works in patterns and behaviors, okay? So that's directly aligned with how your brain functions if you have high functioning autism. So if you have high functioning autism, you're way more aligned with your subconscious mind than the average person. So all that means is you have a severe advantage over the average person when it comes to this type of work. Okay, you just need to know how to work it in your favor. You need to know how to take control of the superpower you have. So that's why I want you to share this. But other than that, my friends, hopefully this video helped. Comment below. Love to hear from you. Remember, I love you, and I'll see you in the next video.